Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have kids, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the office, and welcome to the morning grind. A different kind of show this morning as we continue to experiment, having now been, 257 episodes into the morning grind with different kinds of formats, different kinds of things to talk about. Because actually, I find that some of the best shows are when we're having a discussion either with a guest like we do generally on Table Talk, or when we're having a discussion with each other between me and the chat here. And so, being that this is the Geekverse, I kind of thought that something rather significant happened, and that was the Congressional hearing on UAP, what they're now calling UFOs. That's the new word for the UFOs, right? So I thought, well, that's probably something we should talk about. So that's going to be our topic today. We're going to have a discussion here on that congressional hearing. And I've got several different questions also. Actually, that should be the first one, actually. Did you watch the UAP congressional hearing? I've got several different polls as well, because those are also fun. So let's see. We will put that out. So let's see. Who have we got here this morning? We've got Stray. Good morning, Stray. I was saying Stray had a late night. I was just noticing in the Discord server. Stray PH Arbist is here. Good morning. And Zero the Blade. And Jappards, welcome. And George and Rogue Thinker and Robert, good morning. Great crew here. Rogue Thinker says, nope, saw some highlights. Pretty dry stuff. Well, we'll take some highlights. What were the highlights? I did watch it. I didn't watch it live. I watched it in a couple of different chats, a couple of different sessions rather, and catched up. I caught up. I took a few notes, but actually I found out that on Reddit, and I suppose this was or I saw on Reddit that some people had put together some rather extensive notes on what was going on, and so what had happened. So I realized I didn't really have to go into a lot of detail on my notes because other people were taking notes and then posting stuff on it. So I went, oh, okay. Robert says, fascinating topic. Either we're not alone, the government has been trying to convince the world it has undefeatable alien tech, or there is some other phenomenon we don't understand. Well, but it seems that they may have it, but it was interesting when Fravor was saying, well, if we had to fight this, if this turned hostile, that he didn't think we would be able to defeat it. So whether or not we have it, or whether there is alien tech that's undefeatable out there. Hey, Vision. Good morning, Vision. Micah says, good morning, all. Remember to like and subscribe. Please do. Yes, thank you, Micah. Let's see. Okay. Oh, well, let's breathe and sip this morning. Let's go ahead and breathe and sip. Everybody got your beverage with you this morning? I've got Mountain Dew Zero here. So let's go ahead and breathe. 2 deep breaths, complete inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. Because, hey, when you're talking about aliens and extraterrestrials, it's good to take care of your mental health before you dive into that topic, right? So here we go. And sip. All right. So let's talk about, I would say that my experience on this topic is, I used to, like as a kid, I think I watched stuff about UFOs and aliens quite a bit. And I remember Bob Lazar being a major influence on me as a kid. And the Bob Lazar story, I remember watching some type of show with Bob Lazar on it. And I remember that being my first encounter with the idea of aliens or UFOs. And it did really freak me out. And I went back and I found out what that show was. And it was an unsolved mysteries that had somebody, some people being, abducted by aliens and were up on a spacecraft, and it was telling them their story. So, unsolved mysteries is the kind of thing you would have seen on TV or, accessible on TV. And I think that was the first time that I ever encountered this idea of aliens. And I remember talking about the people who were abducted, and I was like, oh, wait, what? There's what out there? Okay, wait a minute. That was the first time I heard. And then it also on that same episode had the Bob Lazar story. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What's going on? Remember, that was the first time I ever encountered that. And it had the Roswell crash on it too. So that was a great episode. It had, I don't remember what type of it had 3 sections. I don't remember what alien abduction story it was. I remember it was some guys who were maybe it was abducted from a campsite or something like that. So I don't remember that. But then Roswell, talking about Roswell, whoa, crashed UFOs. And I remember it, it dramatized the nurse that came out and who was freaked out about the bodies or something like that. And that creeped me out. And then Bob Lazar, and I thought, oh, that was cool. So I remember that being a part of, something I think I was looking at as a kid. And then I remember later when we first got the internet, I remember saying, oh, you know what I should look up? I should look up Bob Lazar. And I remember Bob Lazar had just this landing page that was just, because he wasn't really out there, but it was just the Bob Lazar landing page with his eyes wearing his glasses or something like that. And I remember looking that up in the early days of the internet. And then I didn't really think much about it because I don't really believe in aliens or alien spacecraft or that kind of thing. So I kind of just, that all kind of dropped off the radar until this was a few years ago. All of a sudden, Bob Lazar dropped another documentary. It was the Jeremy Corbell guy who did a documentary on Bob Lazar. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I remember him. So I watched that. And ever since then, I've been dropping in on the UFO subreddit every 3 or 6 months to figure out what is going on, if anything, in the world of UFOs. And generally disappointed. But ever since. So, but I've got to think here. So I did watch this. I would say that the most interesting thing that's happened by far is this in the realm of UFOs was that congressional hearing. And I've got to think, and we're going to talk about everything that it has in it. I've got to think that if it were the 1990s and you told me that there was going to be a congressional hearing with a UFO whistleblower who basically says all the classic stuff, that would be like major news, right? That would be a big deal. And so on one hand, I'm wondering why it is quite not so big a deal. Because I was like, okay, so I know I do. I want to watch this. And it took a couple of times to get through it. So on one hand, I'm wondering why, even though it seems like everything is that's now we're going to talk about how that fits the narrative, right? Because it seems to completely fit the UFO narrative. And when anything particularly completely fits a narrative, just in general, I wasn't ever thinking about applying this to UFOs, but when you're talking about some kind of headline or news story or something like that, and and whatever's being told in the headline completely fits a narrative from one side, whatever that narrative or whatever kind of narrative that some group of people is trying to support, what are the chances of that being completely true or actually accurate to what happened? Well, it's to me, it's pretty low. So whenever I see something that fits an exact narrative, I'm like, well, let's put that down. So this one hits that because it kind of hits all the UFO and alien talking points, right? So that's one reason I think to be skeptical, because it's like, wait a minute. So basically everything that the UFO people have been saying is true, like point by point going down. Jeopard says it looked like 2 people were cautious with their observations, and one is using weasel words to make people think that aliens are found while actually saying nothing. Well, we do have some new terminology, right? We do have some new terminology. Let me make that as a note over here. We've got some new terminology. Because first of all, well, UAP, but that's not even aerial anymore. It's anomalous, right? But also we have this idea of biologics, right? So that was a new term that came through here. Let me go over here and see what's going on with. We got several different polls here. So if you take a moment to answer a poll. Oh, we got 11 votes. Okay, so actually, so did you watch the UAP congressional hearing? So that was most people did not. So most people did not watch the congressional hearing. It was so in its. As a positive, I haven't watched congressional hearings in a long time because generally I had found that they were mostly useless. Like, okay, there's going to be a congressional hearing on a particular topic. And most of the time I found that it's just political grandstanding. And so, and they aren't particularly useful. It makes me want to pull my hair out when sometimes the congressional, whether it's representatives or senators or whatever, can ask some of the most inane questions, or like it's sad humor, but humor is like you realize that they don't understand the topics that they are interviewing somebody on, especially when it came to technology and all of that. There were some famous gaffes and things like that in congressional hearings that just reveal a complete lack of understanding of the whatever is being interviewed, the subject. But I thought this one was actually good. So that did impress me, that with only a couple of exceptions, which is to be expected, I guess, it was like 2 hours or something like that. I was actually impressed with the quality of the hearing from the perspective of the representatives. So I was like, well, gee, that was actually pretty reasonable. I wish more of the hearings went like that. So it did impress me that, okay, it seemed like they were taking this seriously and everything wasn't, let me ask 15 seconds or get 15 seconds from the witness and then, let me spend the rest of my time giving a political speech. For the most part, it wasn't like that. So I do have to give them props for that at least. Let's go to this one's probably one of the more interesting ones. Do you believe aliens have or are visiting the planet? Your choice. Rogue Thinker says we would stand no chance against something that expressed the capabilities of the observed phenomenon. Project Camelot? From way back in the day, had him do an interview talking about Bob Lazar. The Bob Lazar's story. Oh, this was Project Camelot was the code name of a counterinsurgency study begun in the United States Army in 1964. Okay. I don't know that. I don't know what that is. Well, look at that. Bob Lazar's story, you see, is another one of those that fits the narrative very well. Like fits the narrative about what you want to believe. That's why I'm kind of skeptical of it. Well, I know. I thought about this in relation to the AI too. Like, I mean, there's a lot of see, one reason maybe people aren't talking about it because, like I said, if this were the '90s and something like this happened, actually, I guess if the congressional hearing, what just happened on Congress happened in the '90s, it might have been a bigger deal. But on the other hand, maybe we're just hit by so many different things because, like, I was like, okay, so wait a minute, what are you telling me that we're living in the time here where? Oh, by the way, everything that you think classic alien stuff is true. That we're about to find out all that. And that also, by the way, AI, we're about to have, sentient AI or something. So PH says people thought that AI would be a concern. Well, now it gets worse. Who's going to help us against who or what? Well, see, that's why Micah says, I believe it's feasible for there to be extraterrestrial life on other worlds, even softens. But until we get to mind uploads, we'll never meet any and they won't meet us. Well, that's why, and the last poll I just said is like, do you believe they're visiting the planet? Because I can get on board with life on other planets. Although I think that we should be ready as the human species here. I think we should be prepared to be the only thing like us, only conscious or sentient race, conscious race, intelligent race like us. That's probably in the galaxy. We should probably be prepared for that. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily true, but I think that we should be prepared for that. Learn how to make your tinfoil hat on the Raven Keep Discord. I like that. That's perfect. Jappard says, one account of a UAP in the hearing was an object that rapidly flew near aircraft and rapidly went back up into space without any detectable heat. This violates the laws of physics as we know it. Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about does this violate physics and things like that. Now, Grusch did say that he has a degree in physics, but just in general, I always find that the phrase violates the laws of physics, is used so much. Is that technical? Is that right? I mean, like how you can't move that fast or you can't hover there. Well, could you? Like, I think Graves talked about that with sufficient energy or whatever. Is it actually physics violating, or is it something that is so requires so much energy? Now, I'm not talking about the flying into space here, but I'm talking about the station keeping and things like that. I always want more details. Robert says the whistleblower testimony is all hearsay. No eyewitnesses appeared. I want to believe, but proof wasn't presented. Just reports or accounts from anonymous government officials. Let's see. Okay, so what did I have over here? Well, okay, so what did we get? Like when I say this hit all of the classic UFO stuff, and that's why it kind of hits that narrative right on. Let's go over here and see what people are saying about. Oh, we are split over here. We are split over here on aliens. We are slightly ahead of note. Do you believe aliens have or are visiting the planet? So we are split. 54 say yes and 54 say no. Well, I got one more question, but I'll hold on that. So we're kind of split here. I'm kind of on the no, but let's see. So, but like, what did this tell us? So, like, I was thinking about things that fit the UFO narrative. So, first of all, this is crash recovery. You know, he talked about all of that over decades. He talked about reverse engineering. Let me reverse engineering. You know, he did talk. I think I saw him. This was not actually in the hearing, so I'll put an asterisk by it. But you know, he did say in some other interviews, like that the first crash recovery was in Italy at the direction of the Vatican. And it was like during World War II, during World War II. And actually, I thought about that later. I was like, you know, somebody should have asked him more about that because for some reason he was saying that one's not classified or something. You know, of course, a lot was, but we've got you know, secret contractors or you know, secret or black book projects or off the book. Government conspiracies for secrecy. Like one, also he talked about, you know, people being injured. Like one of the representatives asked him, "Is there something about people being injured?" And he was like, "Now, do you mean people being injured by UAP or by government, by the U.S. government?" And Grusch was like, "Both." So you know, we've got aliens injuring, or you know, the aliens injuring people. I get. Well, we'll put the UAP. You know, UAP injuring people, but that could come in a. He didn't go into details there. You know, U.S. government killing people, injuring or killing people. He might have said something about killing people. You know, to keep this a secret. I mean, hey, we even got alien bodies. Now, that's the term people are talking about. The biologics. He said, I mean, not only do we have a craft, right? I mean, this went. That's why I say that, like this scene, because this hits everything that we've got. We've got now. He uses this term biologics. Well, and also non-human intelligence, which I see a lot of people criticize. And this could be some of the weasel words that people were talking about in the comments here. That, well, he didn't actually say they were alien bodies. He did say we've recovered non-human biologics. And I did actually see that as a headline, which I've never heard of someone use this word before. That's the first time I've heard this word be used. Okay, non-human biologics. And so people are critical of like non-human intelligence. Well, a lot of us live with non-human intelligence. Like, the cat or the dog can be a non-human intelligence. So I get that. And then also, if you talk about non-human biologics, well, that's not really all that rare either, because if we've got non-human intelligences, we got non-human biology running around too that we interact with. So, cats, dogs, the zebra, that could be that's non-human biologics, I guess. I'm a little bit less skeptical of that, just because in the context of everything that he's saying, if it came out that China had a secret space program and they are launching spacecraft that occasionally we recover, and they are launching space hamsters. And occasionally you recover a secret Chinese spacecraft, and it's got non-human biologics on it because it's the Chinese space hamsters. I mean, possibly, maybe technically, but it just seems like in the context he seems to be talking about something else. Well, let me go over here. So the comment section is popping over here. There's a lot going on here. Robert says they need not be interstellar. They could be nearby or neighbors that they're visiting. We assume they must be from another star system, but more likely, given the distances, it's close by. Hello, Shadowlight. One of our channel members. Welcome, Shadowlight. Shadowlight says U.S. legislation representatives and the president need to learn how to budget U.S. economy before they qualify for investigating aliens. Well, we go, like I said, I kind of thought that this hearing was conducted rather competently, given congressional standards that I've seen in the past. But, we like to go, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, this is it. This is it. Congress is involved now. So that's like, and have a lot of faith that now the investigation is going and there's going to be a lot that's revealed. So we do oscillate sort of between government incompetence and extreme incompetence and extreme competence, like when it kind of suits. So with this narrative, it's kind of like, now we've got some, great competence here from the government that is going to be able to, crack this nut, this conspiracy that's operating within the U.S. government. Well, okay, so that's also something I'd bring up. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Stray, I saw this last night. I took a note. I didn't see it last night during last night's Hero Quest game, but I did see it once we'd closed out. Stray gifted a membership last night. And so, Stray, thank you so much for gifting a membership. I didn't see it when it scrolled by yesterday during the game, but thank you so much for that. Very generous. But yes, so PHR Best says, amazingly, aliens just crashed in the U.S. Okay, let me bring that up. Let me start that because we want to go back to that thought. But, to double down, this would be enough, right? Crash recovery over decades. This is even like, the MIB, and multiple craft. Didn't he say something about a dozen craft? I don't think it was in that may have been during his original interview. So, it's a lot of craft. But then not only that, but continuing with this idea of hitting all of the major points here on aliens, not only did we have all of this, but we even went forward into interdimensional aliens or extra dimensional. So not only we didn't even just do aliens coming from another planet or something like that. Man, we even went into the extra dimensional or interdimensional or whatever else that maybe they're maybe they're coming from that. So we went even into the I don't know if that's the crazier section of the alien stuff, but I mean, I suppose in one level it is, because okay, we understand something on another planet because we're here on a planet, so I suppose we can understand something being on a planet. And then flying here, okay, but no, actually, wait a minute. We're actually even brought up the subjects of interdimensional or extra-dimensional aliens and all of that. So it was like all the hits first. I mean, and that's why it looks like in general, the UFO subreddit. And I'm really not connected to I'm not connected to the UFO world at all, other than, like I said, dropping by the subreddit every 3 or 6 months to see what's going on. But so I don't know what's going on like on alien or UFO YouTube, but it seems like a lot of people on the UFO subreddit who are obviously tend to be inclined to believe. I mean, there's skeptics on there as well, are huge on this. I mean, I completely understand, because it's like, all right, what have I got to hit in order to, discuss the entire story? And so that's what I'm talking about. Well, this fits the narrative like completely. It's the alien narrative that came up here. Yeah, non-human biologics, yes. So bacteria, well, yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be. I mean, so that's not... He didn't actually say... Now, he might have used the term pilot in another interview. He could have used the word pilot. I want to check on that. I think somebody brought that up in a discussion, that he did actually use the word like pilot, which does seem to imply, well, that would be not the hamster or not our, synthetic clothing like Jappards is bringing up. Let's see. Let me look at the comments. Another item for the right. Yeah. Cover up, government conspiracy for secrecy, cover up. So actually, I thought that when he first came out and did that interview, I was inclined. I didn't think he did all that well. So I was like, so my response to that was, oh, well, okay, this is what's going on. Okay, I'll watch that. So I watched that interview, and it's pretty surprising, but I didn't just jump at it, because then there's like, okay, there's going to be this congressional hearing. So I was like, okay, I'm always fine to go, okay, well, there's going to be something else coming. Okay, I'll just put that in the back of my mind. And hey, this is a fun kind of hobby topic. So when the congressional hearing comes out, I'll go and watch the congressional hearing. The reason I think that, or one of the reasons, when I was watching that original interview with him, well, in fact, let's go ahead and put in our, so we know how we're dealing with aliens visiting the planet, but now the question of the credibility of this particular whistleblower comes up. So let me put this over here. Well, start a poll. So now the question is, do you believe this whistleblower? Where was I going with this? Oh, that like when he said, okay, we've got multiple crafts, because this is what PH was just saying. Amazingly, aliens just crash in the U.S. for some reason. Because I don't know that this it fits the particularly, I guess, yes, U.S. focused alien encounter UFO narrative. But I'm not sure that this holds up with trying to understand what would be going on in the entire world. Like, what is really going on with these aliens? Because, like, if he had come out, I have a feeling that if he had come out when he originally came out and said, hey, I have knowledge that the U.S. does, in fact, have what's our word here? Anomalous aircraft or craft from a non-human intelligence, or whatever that's going to be, because he doesn't like saying aliens, because he doesn't like assuming the origin, because we've also got interdimensional and extra dimensional stuff going on, which I don't really understand how it works. I mean, I have a very low understanding of that. I know that people talk about different dimensions and things like that when they're talking about string theory on a theoretical level, but also doesn't sound, when people are talking about that, That doesn't really sound like a place where aliens come from. It sounds like when people are talking about extra dimensional or interdimensional kinds of aliens, sometimes we use the word dimension as something like another plane of existence. Like in Dungeons and Dragons, if you have different planes of existence, sometimes like in He-Man, especially, you're talking about a monster from another dimension or a demon from another dimension. You're talking about some kind of plane of existence. So to me, those words kind of play on that idea of planes of existence or something coexisting with us, but in another dimension of reality or something, which I don't necessarily, with my limited understanding, think that correlates to something like string theory's posited small wrapped up other dimensions. But at any rate, so we have these aliens. So if he had said that we've got one non-human intelligence craft, and by the way, let's just say for the sake of argument that it was Roswell. Hey, you know what? Roswell is real. There was something that crashed, and maybe he doesn't even go all the way to non-human intelligence. But if he said something like, you know what, Roswell, I've got information that Roswell is in fact real. There was a crash. The U.S. government covered it up, and there has been a secret reverse engineering program to figure out whatever this thing was that's really weird. And there's been a cover up and there's been all that. I think I would be like, well, okay, I think I mean, I could potentially go with that because, hey, anything can happen one time, right? That could I believe there was something weird that crashed and that at some point, especially that early on, and where somebody came out and said, wait, this looks like an alien craft, and then it got covered up and now it's gone, but he's got evidence that, hey, that something like that happened. But once you go on to say we have a dozen or more of these things, I'm like, wait a minute, so this happens with regularity? I don't buy the side where people are like, hey, can you really believe that the aliens are flying here and then they're so good at flying here and they have all this technology, but then they crash once they get here? I mean, that's a meme. It is funny to think about. But, people, I think that even was brought up here that some in the congressional hearing that some percentage of these things are going to crash. But even if it's very low, if it's a very low percentage, let's say that's true, it's a very low percentage of aliens who crash here. That would mean that there are a lot of aliens flying around. I mean, I don't know what percentage of, because, you could say the same thing about our, advanced fighters or whatever, but, or even our commercial aircraft, but they do crash. I mean, they're highly advanced, but they do crash. But then again, there's a lot of, commercial aircraft that fly around and, occasionally you get a crash. That would be like, if it's the same percentage, that would be a lot of aliens who are flying around in order to get that level of crash. So when you get to, we got 12 alien crash, you're saying, so they all crash like PX is saying in like the US or someplace where the US can get to and can secure all of the remains of the spacecraft and these biologics that are on it and completely conceal it a dozen times, and it never just crashes in someplace that's public where people see it. See, once I would have less of a one time it crashed someplace out in Roswell where not many people saw it, and they were able to the U.S. government was able to pick it up. Okay, maybe that same scenario playing out a dozen times, that seems really straining to me. Let's go over to the comments. Yeah, the 115, the element 115, that one never impresses me all that much because that's just the way that you number elements on the periodic table. I mean, can't we all predict element 220 right now? I mean, I don't get it. Yeah, there was also, Robert says he's under oath. He's right. He's saying that he's been told this, and this is true. And he did say that he found out that there was that there was this crash retrieval. But then on the other hand, it doesn't surprise me there's a crash retrieval operation in the U.S. It would surprise me if it were only, because he didn't actually say it was only, well, we'll just use the word alien again here, that it was only alien crash retrieval. I can completely see that, there might be things that crash, like we had the weather balloon or spy balloon situation not long ago. I can completely believe there being some type of operation that sometimes goes out and secures crash sites of either our own stuff. If something crashes that is classified or something like that, the U.S. government might need to be able to secure its own crash sites. And also, if something from a foreign government, a particularly hostile foreign government, crashes, that it would need to go and secure those. I'm not really sure how much work that unit would have. Surely it can't be like it's that what it does is only go out every day. It goes out and secures alien crash sites, right? So it could be something that is part of other crash retrieval programs. And how many times is it actually sent out to go and get the aliens? Surely that's pretty rare, even though he said like a dozen craft or something like that. Let me scroll down here. So that when you're talking about, so that's what we were saying. Robert was saying that. So he did say that he had knowledge of this thing, but I was saying it wasn't the crash retrieval program, but that wasn't necessarily aliens. There was at one point during his original interview. Now, so I actually thought that he came off better in the congressional hearing, just in general believability in conversation. He seemed nervous at first. He got more comfortable as he went. I thought the interview was worse from a personal credibility standpoint. On the other hand, some people are like, well, it's because it was done multiple times and whatever, and so can you even believe what's on video anyway? But at one point, because he did say during that initial interview, he was like, I've got all these people who are coming up and telling me that they are working on alien craft. And I was like, and so one of my red flags went like, are these friends of yours who are playing a joke on you? Because that kind of sounds like something that, your friends would do. Like, okay, I have a job. I have an idea. Let's all tell Bob over there. Let's all tell Bob that we're actually all involved in an alien reverse engineering program and that we've seen the alien bodies. And so everybody's like, oh yeah, Bob, I got something to admit to you. And the other friends are like, oh yeah, I've been a part of that as well. So there was a little bit of that. There was like, wait a minute, are you sure that everybody's not pranking you? When I heard the original interview. Well, see, okay, so it's just Barney says, I think Grusch believes Grusch. The only issue is whether the 40 people that told him stuff aren't deliberately filling him with nonsense for counterintelligence reasons. So I'm kind of that too, because like I said, I wasn't sure about that after the original interview. But after the congressional hearing, this is completely non-scientific, by the way, as far as like, is he lying or is he not? Now, of course, everybody goes crazy with body language reading and all of that. That's probably all over YouTube. The body language reading of David Grusch during the thing. But yeah, so he might have all these people, but it might be a setup. I mean, I don't think you can discount that. It's good to see you, Barney. Let me scroll down here and see what's going on. I love these mornings. So this is a good morning grind because we got lots of conversation. But okay, but at the same time, right. So it's hard to, it seems to me in general that when he was like, I can't answer that in an open setting, it does seem like if the answer were no, or he had no knowledge of it, he would just say that. He did frequently say we need to go to a secure setting for more information on that. It's difficult for me it's possible that could be, a no, but that does seem like it's a yes in many ways. And like I said, now he may believe it. It may be disinformation because it's just it's the most it seems to be the most wild version of actually I suppose it's not the most wild version because he didn't deliberately say anything about alien abductions. I suppose if we had alien abductions, I haven't heard him mention alien abductions, but I suppose if we had alien abductions or crop circles, then we really would have hit everything. But we didn't quite hit that. So he didn't like confirm that people are, being abducted or something like that. But, I wanted to be able to find out more about that situation with the classified information because he was like, yep, I can give that to you right after the meeting. Let's go into the secure facility and then let's do that. Well, did that happen? I had forgotten that at the beginning, was it Representative Luna said they were denied going into a secure facility. So see, this also fits perfectly with there's still no evidence. And it fits perfectly like that because, okay, here's everything publicly. I can say these things to you. I have everything ready. I can give it to you in a secure facility. Oh, but then for some reason, I'm denied going into a secure facility. Like, did they get in after that? That seems like something we should know easily. Maybe somebody knows in the chat. It seems like if you're a reporter and you're actually doing your job in investigating reporting, what happened after that meeting? Were they immediately taken to a secure facility to have all those questions answered? Because he seemed to be like, yeah, I can give them to you right after this meeting. Take me to a secure facility. But Luna said they were denied the ability to go into a secure facility for discussion prior to the congressional hearing. Were they also denied that after the hearing? If Congress says, because it says something weird that's going on with the security clearance, which makes this okay, so which makes this impossible to prove, right? That, okay, I've got all this stuff. Yep, I have all the evidence. I can show it to you. Just take me to the secure facility. Oh, but there's some reason I can't go to the secure facility. Okay. Although, if you want to continue the conspiracy angle, well, it's because it's because someone in the government is screwing around with a security clearance and he can't get in. So not only is it still unprovable, but it also continues to facilitate the conspiracy, right? It fits everything. Like how would you, if somebody does have top secret information that they can provide to Congress on this subject, what's a great way to prevent them from sharing that? Well, screw with their secret clearance or top secret clearance, so they can't actually enter a top secret facility or the secure facility because your clearance is out of date or there's something wonky with it. Oh, so if you want to facilitate the conspiracy belief, well, there it is. So it hits all of this. It hits all of it, which is why it's so weird. Let me go back to the comments over here. Wait, I'll take this. Shadowlight says, I think space travel and our AI investigations research would be a better use of our time. Unless we really have an alien body in a freezer. Let's see. Oh, do the Green Berets? So the Navy SEALs, when they were back up to Green Berets that recovered a U.S. satellite. The Mormon Church funds the Ancient Alien Show. Is that true? I was watching that show because I was working on material for the Journey 3 of Sorrows, and so I wanted to find some stuff about the ancient alien type of stuff to integrate into stories and things like that. The number of those episodes there are is ridiculous. Because I was just like set it to play. I forget what it's on. I just set it to play, and that way I could just take notes while I was like cleaning the house and stuff like that to come up with stuff to integrate into stories and things like that. And it just kept going and going and going. Man, by the time that show is done, everything is aliens. Everything is aliens. Let's see. See, Jappard says not every country is capable of monitoring space has a U.S. base or is a U.S. ally. Don't you believe China or Russia would want a cover up to extract concessions? I mean, see, that's the big. To me, this is a big chunk of this that's missing. In order to be believable, I need some kind of explanation with what's going on in the rest of the world. I need some type of explanation as to why every crash is someplace where the U.S. government can get to it, and why it's never. First of all, if it's only in the U.S., why it's publicly. Now, I realize there are like UFO sightings, around the world and stuff like that, but I need some type of explanation as to why the supposed physical proof is always someplace where a secret government, U.S. government conspiracy can get to it. Like, I need some reason for that, because governments would also handle this differently. Could potentially handle this differently. Is this going on? Does Russia and China also have a dozen craft? Like it's like Virginia UFO incident. Like, which one I'm talking about? Like, that's the one. Wait, where is that? Is that Argentina? Varginha UFO incident. And one of the reasons actually that I was looking all of this up, because I actually thought a long time ago that it'd be really cool to do an RPG campaign setting that kind of integrated or tried to integrate all of these conspiracy theories and aliens and all of that. I thought that would be a really neat campaign setting. And so at one time, that was one reason why I did a deep dive into all of this. Because I was like, man, this is fantastic material for an RPG campaign setting or just some type of RPG game that you're playing. So yeah, oh no, it was Brazil. That was Brazil. The Varginha UFO incident. That's in Brazil. Excuse me, not Argentina. It's in Brazil. But even part of that, though, is that the U.S. government showed up and took all the stuff. So that one does integrate that. Okay, something happened in Brazil, and the U.S. government showed up and took all the stuff. So I'm missing how this integrates with the rest of the world. That makes me skeptical of that. I'm also just skeptical of our aliens in general. As I said, the aliens that we've got, supposedly, I would understand two different kinds of aliens really well. The first type of aliens are so advanced that we never see them, that they monitor us in different ways. Okay, if they're those kinds of aliens and they're really advanced, and they're like doing the Star Trek level, of course, sometimes in Star Trek, of course, they go wrong and then have like an episode where Riker was disguised, but then he got like knocked out or something. And so he was being in a hospital and they were going to realize he was an alien. But generally speaking, if you have some super advanced aliens and they monitor us without ever letting us know, well, okay, I would at least understand that. It's not exactly provable in any kind of way, but I would understand those kinds of aliens. I would also understand the aliens that just do not care and they just, are here. Like, their space probe or something like that. They're monitoring us, seeing what's going on. And, their technology is so advanced that, well, you can't do anything about it. But, sometimes, I was just, walking down the street and, floating down the street as I was going for a walk was the alien space probe that, we're always seeing these things, monitoring us and then sending back radio communications to, wherever. Or, I was trying to take a picture at my, sister's wedding and I couldn't because the alien space probe kept getting in the way. So I would also understand the aliens who are advanced and are here and are monitoring things and just do not care if we see them. I would understand those aliens. But the aliens we appear to have here are the aliens that always like to operate just on the edge of all of our sensors and capabilities of seeing so that we can only see fuzzy, grainy things that kind of look like they're there, but might not be. They might be something else. So I don't understand the aliens who are like, understand our technology well enough to say, I know let's stay just on the edge of the alien, of their capability of seeing something, so they can just get, fuzzy and not particularly, in no high resolution image of what we're doing. I don't understand those aliens. Let's see what people are saying in the comments. Hey, Tomocrat, welcome. Good to see you. What are people saying here? Yeah. See, I wish that Congress had followed up on that. Like, just to be clear, what do you mean when you're talking about that? Let's see. Stray says, I approach it like a new friend I met yesterday, running up and saying, guys, I saw Bigfoot. I am so cool. I could be. Lots of stuff going on. Yeah. All right. Hello, Mr. Biochronic. Welcome. Good to see you. So, here's the other reason that I am. Oh, that episode with Riker was great. I guess that's why it sticks out in my mind. But okay. Oh, you like my mug? Oh, thank you. It's one of those like Yeti style mugs. Okay, so here's the other thing with that makes me skeptical of this is that, especially if you have multiple craft, like that fits better if there's one. If it happened just once, and you are the U.S. government, and there's only one place that this happened, and by chance you've got it, and man, something really weird happened here. Okay, I can see then saying we're gonna, especially if you think there's some type of military threat possibly, or advantage as you start your reverse engineering program or something like that you're going to keep this secret. But if it's happening comparatively all the time, like, then in order to keep it secret, I think you would have to know something more about the aliens that they aren't going to reveal themselves. See, it's also weird that, hey, if we want to keep this a secret, according to the traditional UFO alien line of things, if we're going to keep this secret, we can do that with this, complex conspiracy and the MIB. Maybe they've got the memory erasers, like in the movie, or something like that. And if we do that, we can keep all of this a secret. But there is another party that could just reveal themselves to everybody and blow the lid on all of that, and that is the aliens themselves. So if you're the U.S. government and the conspiracy stuff is real, then you would have to say, we can secure all of this information, and we know that it's not going to come out because the aliens aren't ever going to just reveal themselves. They're never just going to come down here and talk to somebody or actually provide evidence of their existence or things like that. Because if you didn't actually have knowledge that they weren't going to do that, or were incapable of doing that, or something like that, it seems like you would want to be preparing for that eventuality. They're like, okay, well, we don't have to be the ones to say that they're aliens. We can keep all of that secret, but the aliens may tell people that they are aliens, right? And so how do you prepare for that? What do you do when that happens? And then all of a sudden, so at any moment, we can have this successful decades-long conspiracy of cover-ups and all of that. We can have that for decades and decades and decades. But any morning, we could wake up and the aliens have decided that, oh, they're just out there in the world and are showing the proof and all of that. You would have to be ready for that if you were part of a big U.S. government conspiracy, because you would have to know that you can't control that. Now, I suppose I know what some of the UFO, the conspiracy theories would say is the U.S. government does have that, because then you get into the Eisenhower Treaty and all of that, where No, yeah, there's actually a treaty. So the government does know that the aliens aren't going to reveal themselves because they actually have a treaty with them where they agreed not to reveal themselves. And so they can, okay, I guess. So I guess that's something you would have to have. And you'd have to think that, okay, we got this treaty and the aliens are not going to break it. See, that the worldwide thing is to me a big hole in this. And then also not understanding how the aliens or how you know the aliens aren't going to reveal themselves. And why they apparently take so much care to just stay in the fuzziest reaches of our, sensor systems and things like that. It's weird. That's weird. Let's go over here. Yeti. Yes, exactly. I don't know. I don't know. Would I really be surprised if there? I mean, well, I think I would. Yes, I think I would. It would surprise me if it turned out, if it turned out after all of this that this list that we made of, hey, by the way, this whole thing goes basically step by step down the traditional alien, alien mythology. Let's use that alien mythology. And UFO mythology, and that, by the way, the classic gray alien is exactly what it is. I would be surprised. Yes, I would be surprised. Like, wait a minute, all of that was basically exactly true. I would be surprised. Jafford says, why do aliens need to get close to aircraft when they could just see us from space? In order to discover us, they either receive our radio signals or use a telescope, which means a lot of searching. Oh, I was also going to point out, seeing it from space, I one thing I did think of, notice about this congressional hearing was that it actually said very little. Actually, on this subject, it was not very traditional. Now, we did talk about craft elsewhere, but here's a non-traditional part of this. So we talked about traditional parts of this, so we should talk about non-traditional parts as well. He talked very little or perhaps nothing about traditional flying saucers. So in that sense that, okay, what do the aliens fly around in? It's the flying saucer. And they talk about the Tic Tac. And I have no idea what that was because David Fravor was there. But I had never heard of the two different types of alien. I'm using the non-human craft. I'm just saying alien, whatever. The two different kinds of alien craft that Grusch talked about, I had never heard of before. Which was one, a black or gray square inside a sphere. That sounds non-traditional to me. Some other people may have heard of that one. But black or gray square in a sphere, and didn't he say that was one of the ones that buzzed like two fighters and flew right between them, like split two fighters, or like, I guess fly between these two fighters? Was that the one that went up into space or something like that? So as far as we didn't build that one with GURP space. When we were looking through the GURP spacecraft, we were trying to build a theoretical Tic Tac or one of the classic sports model UFOs from Bob Lazar. But black or gray cube in a transparent sphere. I had never heard of that. What could that be? I'm trying to think of what could that be? A black or gray cube. I had never heard that before. So, well, I'll add that to the possible thing that can go in an RPG, like RPG campaign setting or something like that. Black or gray sphere in some kind of black or gray cube in a transparent sphere. I had never heard that before. But then also this Vandenberg Air Force Base sighting. I had never heard of that either. I'm gonna have to look up that more because that also sounds weird. Where the alien spacecraft is a red square the size of a football field that appears over the Air Force Base. What's up with all of a sudden the geometric forms? Like squares, cubes. We got some very geometric. We always have, the Tic Tac. We have the rod. The cigar shaped thing. We got some very geometric aliens right here. That does, so that means they could be from down here in the South. We like maybe they are using the same type of engineering for their spacecraft that we use, or for naming our dances. You know, down here in the South, we also name our dances that we do, or we form our dances that we do off of geometric shapes. We have line dances, we have square dances, we have the circle dances down here in the South. So maybe the aliens are like, okay, well, we need the line spaceship, we need the circle spaceship, we need the square spaceship. I mean, I don't know, but red square. Had anybody ever heard of those? That's the first I had ever heard of black or gray square in a sphere. It's possible I might have heard Graves, because I did watch an interview with Graves. He might have mentioned that before, but I picked up on it here. So I might have heard that from Graves before, but I know this is the first time I've ever heard of a red square over Vandenberg Air Force Base that shows up. Graves said these sightings are not rare or isolated; they're routine. Well, if they're routine, why haven't I ever heard of that? I mean, it's only routine for people who happen to be bound by U.S. government security clearances. Like, it's not routine for me to see large red cubicle football-shaped spaceships hovering over things. I mean, that's weird. The Varginha incident happened here. I live in Rio, but my father. This is great. Okay, so PH says, but my father is from a city next to Varginha. I don't buy it. We, Aldo, have blue ET. He is always saying, he is always hidden, saying in a high pitch, look for knowledge. Also, we also have blue ET here. Okay. Yeah, SETI's out there looking. Yeah, having that is true. Yeah, having a treaty with the aliens implies that we can communicate with them. I mean, that's fun. I mean, I kind of, like I say, from the fun perspective, from a hobby kind of looking at all of this, and also from the fun perspective of, hey, this could make a really neat campaign setting or stories. Because like I said, especially the ancient aliens, I use that kind of information for the Journey to Tree of Sorrow stories. You know, it's fun kind of stuff to draw on. The Eisenhower Treaty and the story there, I mean, is a fun one. Well, we didn't get. I see how the probing people go by. Well, like I said, that one. That's one of the beats that he did not hit. So, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot that I had a poll going. So it's been going for a while. Let's see what people say about this. It says 18 votes. Do you believe Grusch, the UAP whistleblower? Okay, so we're all mostly skeptical here. We are 2/3 no and 1/3 yes. Let's see. Okay, we have build you ET. Okay, let me look at that. Let me put this over here. Oh, wait, this is a particular. The alien species. There is an alien species wiki. Okay, there's an alien species wiki. ET Billieu species are a humanoid species from somewhere in the constellation of Pegasus. In 2010, he decided to spread his message on a large scale. I have never heard of this one. All right, I got it up in another window. I'll take a look at it when the stream is over. If an alien were to walk up to me, I'd throw my lunch money at them and play dead. So I don't know. So I guess this is another one of the things that I just kind of kicked down the can. I'm pretty skeptical of it, but I'm like, well, okay. if he's got people that he's talking to and he can name names. He also said he can give the name, the locations of the facilities that have the alien craft in them, and presumably the biologics and things like that. Well, I was like, okay, well, all right, all right, fine. I think, didn't this come up on another stream when we were talking about, well, we tend to be okay with dealing with strange people. We often deal with when you're creative people and things like that. It seems like a lot during life, you end up with some pretty strange people, which a lot of people don't tend to want to or don't encounter in life. But if you're a creative person, things like that sometimes you do encounter these people. And so I'm used to kind of interacting with people who say far out things and behave strangely and do far out things. So, I tend to give some latitude there, but I'm like, okay. That's why I just kind of kicked the Grusch interview after his initial interview. Like, okay, well, there's going to be a congressional hearing. Okay, well, then fine. I'll just pick up when the congressional hearing comes on. So I'm kind of interested in the follow-up. Did they finally get into the secure facility, and did he, name some names and give the locations and things like that? And then does Congress do anything with it? I'm kind of going, so does this go anywhere or not? So I'm perfectly happy with going, okay, we'll file it back in the back of your mind again, go on, and then see if in 3 to 6 months anything else has come out of it. I'm still going no. I'm still going no aliens. I'm still going no aliens. It's just for the holes that we talked about in here, and then also just the general weirdness of it conforming to almost everything that is stereotypically alien mythology. So I'm still going no, but I think this probably would be the thing that I would most like to be wrong on. I mean, wouldn't it be? I mean, it would be pretty neat if actually everything from classical UFO and alien mythology was basically true. I mean, that would be a weird thing to all of a sudden discover. And so that probably would shake things up. I mean, but people say, well, I mean, I think a lot of people do also have this first contact kind of perception of aliens, very much, I think, like the full superintelligence AI. That will, as soon as that hits, all of a sudden everything's going to be perfect for everyone on Earth. They've got all this technology that's going to be released. We're not going to have to worry about energy again. We're not going to have to worry about hunger again. Everybody's going to be fulfilled to be able to live such a great life because all of our drudgery is going to be taken away. I see that as an element of some people's belief about aliens, also with some people's belief about the superintelligence, if we're talking about the development of AI and things like that. So I know some people are like, well, no, this is important because as soon as that hits, it is going to change everything about the way that we live, assuming that like that is distributed. Because I'm not sure how it changes things how we live if we find out that, yeah, aliens have been here for 80 years or whatever, and it's routine. But okay, like the technology hasn't done anything, so I don't know. George says aliens possible, yes, probable, no. Yeah, so I've got to go. Yeah, see, I think you have to go with the probability on this. Shadowlight says if government had an alien body part or body and they're willing to now televise their interest in aliens, they would have showed us well, maybe. I mean, not if the whole conspiracy is going on. Oh, yeah. So a killer doc on laser introduced plasma debunking Greer. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Greer, but he does like the summoning UFOs or something like that, which I don't think that would be true. What about the UAPs on Navy radar and visually separate issue? Yeah, that was one of the things that was exciting. Well, there was the release of the 3 radar. One of them's like FLIR and gimbal, like go fast. The 3 videos, go fast, gimbal, and FLIR, right? And FLIR is the one that was supposedly taken of the Tic Tac. That was not by David Fravor, but somebody else flew out there that had that particular instrumentation and took FLIR, right? And we could talk about that. Like I think that those seemed unimpressive to me. And it also seemed like it was a great example of how we don't have fantastic, fantastic information about things. Because, okay, those are, instrumentation from, a known aircraft, known instrumentation. People work on this instrumentation, know how it works, knows how it functions. So experts in that should be able to tell us, what is actually on this, the radar image, the video imagery that's coming in. What actually is that? I mean, there's data on the sides and things like that. So it seems, and yet you look at those. It's another one of those situations where, okay, look, here's alien, or UFO stuff, UAP stuff. And some people looked at that and went, that's the most normal stuff in the world. There's nothing there. And other people went, oh my God, it's defying the laws of physics. And it's crazy that in the internet world, you would think that, well, gee, this is the internet. We can communicate with experts instantly and get expert opinion. And you can get experts that just say completely different things. That I do remember. There's one of them that rotates. Isn't it gimbal that rotates? I think it's gimbal that rotates. And I think I was watching Graves because he was on when I heard about him. And one of his interviews was on Joe Rogan. And I do remember that Joe Rogan asked him directly, so Graves is one of the experts on this particular system because he flies with it, right? And Joe Rogan, there's controversy about whether or not it's the thing rotating or whether the camera is rotating, which sounds ridiculous because that should be the easiest thing in the world to figure out. There's an expert, who understands how to use this equipment, and whether or not the object you're looking at is rotating or whether or not you're rotating the camera sounds like one of the dumbest, most simple things to possibly deal with and answer on a system like that. And Rogan did ask Graves, how do we know that the camera isn't the one rotating? And Graves says, he said, we don't know. And I remember throwing up my hands at that point. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so we're wondering whether or not this is doing some type of physics defying rotation. And the fighter pilot who is used to interacting with this actually says, we don't know whether it was the camera or the object. I remember throwing up my hands and going, well, then, like, what good is any of this? I mean, that just seems ridiculous. What a time to be alive. Yeah, I know. Especially if we got super AI, super intelligent AI and aliens at the same time. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Yeah, it was seen visually and on radar by nearby destroyer. Yeah, there's the instruments. Yeah, and I don't know that we will ever know what that is. So people and I think even during the Congressional meeting, they said, that the Tic Tac is the most credible of the UAP or UFO encounters. And I tend to agree with that. But that doesn't mean that I think it's aliens, but I have no idea what that was. It does sound credible with whatever was going on. We got, the Fravor and the second pilot, because there were actually 4 of them up there. There's instrumentation like Robert is talking about right here. What is that? I have no idea. But see, that one's also curious because as Fravor says, as weird as that is, which as I say, that one's pretty weird. I have no idea what that is. That seems to be a real anomaly. But that's one where it seems like the supposedly, if the MIB conspiracy theory thing is really true, that's one that they just didn't care about because Fravor says nobody investigated. Nobody came up and told me that it was classified or that I couldn't talk about it because he just talks about it. He said, it became something kind of funny to talk about with other people. So that one's also an anomaly in that regard, that if you're deep into like what Grusch is saying and the deep multi-decade long conspiracy on all of that, then why did the Tic Tac apparently draw no interest from that organization? That was also it's weird. I mean, it's all weird. Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson debunked the Tic Tac on CNN. I don't buy the one thing I don't buy is the people who are saying who put so much faith in the visual observation, especially from fighter pilots who are like, man, these are trained observers. they're trained to look at things. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, it's completely possible to have multiple people look at something and be wrong about what they're looking at. I mean, that's completely possible. Like, just because we had 4 people who are looking at it. Well, yes, it's possible, for instance, for 4 people, as an example, for 4 people to look at an optical illusion and all see the wrong thing, to be fooled by the optical illusion. So it's not, to me, at all strange to say that, yes, multiple people can look at the same thing and all interpret it wrong. Okay, that's not weird to me at all. And then also this idea that if fighter pilots are such highly trained observers, then one, we should understand their training, right? Because we train them. I mean, as far as like the U.S. goes. Okay, so if the U.S. trains these ultra awesome observers, well, then we should know exactly what type of training they go through. So you're like, listen, how do you train an ultra competent observer? Well, right here. Okay, well, can we all go through that? I have an idea. Why don't we just incorporate that into all college, well, or even high school? Let's make it high school. We have a education system that can turn out an ultra competent observer. Well, boy, wouldn't it be great if a lot more people here in the U.S. or in the world were highly competent and highly trained observers? Whatever module the fighter pilots go through, their educational training, let's put that in high school. That sounds like a good idea. And or is this a module that I can go through? Like, I would like to become a highly trained observer. So how exactly? So, but I'm not buying it. And you would have to actually prove as well that once you go through this training module about how to become a, hyper competent observer, that you are not fooled by things like optical illusions, or your skills of, your skills of observation are so great that when you see something that ordinary people go, oh my God, it's like this, you're able to see through it and go, no, it's actually like this because I've been through this training program. So could 4 fighter pilots all look at the same thing and be mistaken about what they saw? I mean, yes, I think that's possible. But like I said, it does seem credible. I mean, it seems like a credible thing to listen to. Credible does not mean it's real. Credible doesn't mean it's true. But yeah, I mean, I agree. One of the more credible sightings. All right. Well, that was a fun discussion. Apparently, everyone liked that because there was a lot of stuff going on in the comments. This was great. So that was fun. So like I said, in a continued pursuit to, after over 250 different episodes, I want to do a few different things as well. So discussions like this about what's going on in the Geekverse, George says optical illusions kill lots of pilots every year, and we know all about them and how to evaluate them. So, these kinds of conversations with you guys or with other people, I want to do more of in general on the morning grind, trying to make it the best morning show in the Geekverse. That'd be great. If this were the best morning show in the Geekverse, this is where we stop in and talk about what's going on in all of geekdom. All right. Well, until later, what's today? Saturday? Okay. So tomorrow, all my days seem to be the same. But tomorrow, we'll be back live on the morning grind, 9:30 a.m. Central. I'm not sure what tomorrow's topic will be, but we will come up with something. But until then, be creative, be constructive, and grind on. Later.